Time now 6:23, 21 degrees, and on this day in history in 1909, one of America's most famous prison inmates commits his first known crime in Juneau.
Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, murdered a man over a woman in Juneau where he once lived more than 100 years ago. Joining us with more on this history lesson is author Laurel Downing-Bill for Storytime with Aunt Phil. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Stroud, he was in Juneau for gold prospecting, but he was also bartending at the time, and that's where he first landed himself in prison.
That's right. This part-time bartender in Juneau shot and killed Charles F. Dahmer on this date in 1909. Now, Dahmer was like a rival suitor for the affections of a lady named Kitty O'Brien. Stroud did plead guilty to second-degree murder, and he was sentenced then to do 7 years on McNeil Island near Tacoma, Washington, in the federal penitentiary there. But he was so ornery that prison officials moved him to Leavenworth, Kansas, that maximum security prison, in 1912. He pretty much kept to himself. In fact, a convict later said of him, physically, he was a disgrace. He was tall and thin and as attractive as a barracuda or a herringbone without the herring.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Oh dear. So
right before he was about to be released, he commits another crime?
That's right. Just before he was to be released, he walked into the mess hall at Leavenworth and stabbed to death guard Andrew F. Turner in front of 1,200 other convicts and prison officials. And no one ever knew why. He never said. Once to a cellmate, he commented, well, I think that the guard died of heart trouble or heart puncture. So no, he never did say why, but he was convicted of the murder and sentenced to die in April 1920.
now he was sentenced to death, but his mother said, I do not want my son to die. So she went all the way to the First Lady to ask her to let him live?
Yeah, she went to Washington, D.C. and met with President Woodrow Wilson's wife, Elizabeth, and she begged her to please convince the ailing president to spare her son's life. He was just getting a reputation for being a lover of canaries and learning about bird diseases. Well, Mrs. Wilson was successful, and in fact, the week that Stroud was supposed to be executed, the president commuted that sentence to life imprisonment in solitary confinement.
Wow. So he's a gold miner turned bartender turned murderer. Sounds like an interesting guy. But he also continued to experiment with canary diseases. And tell me, what is this? Ornithology, study of birds, right?
Yes, that's absolutely right. He did, and he was transferred to Alcatraz. That was a brand new maximum security prison, and that's where he earned his name, the Birdman of Alcatraz. And he continued his work. He got access to facilities and laboratories and books. He died in 1963 after 55 years of confinement. But his book, which was called Stroud's Book of Bird Diseases, which was published in 1942, is still to this day regarded as an authoritative source on bird diseases. So there you have it. A fellow that shot to death a man over a woman in Juneau became the Birdman of Alcatraz, and all of it started with his little prison career beginning with that murder in Juneau, Alaska.
It all ties back right here, back at home. And I just visited Alcatraz for the first time over Labor Day last year. Heard about Birdman, you know, they have it on the audio tour, but now it means so much more knowing that he has a tie back into Alaska.
Yeah, that's for sure. I visited that as well several years ago, and what really struck me is we had a guided tour, and those cells are so tiny. They're like 6 by 4 or 6 by 6, tiny, and the slamming of the gate behind you, it was just, oh, I don't think I'll ever do anything wrong. I don't want to go there.
Let's stay out.
Decades there.
Crazy stuff. Thank you so much, Laurel.
Thank you.
Time